Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for clicking on the video. Today we're going to take a look at how all the pros check main bearing clearance on their Barras. Alright, so if you clicked on this video, first of all, thanks a lot. Give it a thumbs up if you like what you see. If you clicked on the video, obviously it's because you want to know how to check the main bearing clearance on your Barra engine, or any engine for that matter. This example right in front of me here is a 330,000 kilometer Barra engine from a BF Series 2 wagon. It's an LPG engine, so the oil should be a fair bit cleaner than it actually is, but it is what it is. So what we're going to do here is take out the main bolts and the girdle, and then remove a couple of the caps, and just have a visual look at the bearings, touch them, feel them, have a look what they're like. And then we're going to use this product right here to check what the main bearing clearance is. Now, joking when I introed that this is how the pros do it, this is most definitely not how the pros do it. Some of the tools I'm overlaying now is how you would check main bearing clearance now, by checking the the ID of a bearing shell, and then the OD of your crankshaft or your rod journal. But obviously, as the engine is assembled here, an easy basic way to sort of ballpark what the clearance may be is with this product, which is called Flexi Gauge these days. It used to be called, is known as Plasti Gauge as well. So let's get into it. I'll whip these off, and yeah, we'll show you the next few steps. So first thing we want to do is get rid of this girdle and have access to the caps. To do that, we need to remove all the main bolts. So these are just a 17 mil bolt. I've already broken these with just a big hand breaker bar ratchet such as this. And now I'll just whiz it off with these because it makes the job a hell of a lot easier and quicker. All right, with the girdle off, this is what you're left with. You'll see here that the caps are numbered and directional. So this is the front of the engine. So these caps have been machined in place based on exactly where they are. So they must go back exactly where they are. You'll see here it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Number 5 isn't labeled number 5 because it is labeled with a T, which means in here is what's known as the thrust washer, which is the crankshaft has to be able to move forward and back slightly, and there is basically another bearing, another washer in there, which dictates how much it's allowed to move, and it's sort of a wear item as well. So yeah, that one will always go there, can't get it wrong. 1 to 7, the only number missing is 5, that has to go there. All right, so what we're going to do now is, I think we might take number 7 off, maybe number 1 off, and maybe number 4, and just check those and see how they are. So in order to get the main cap off, sometimes you can get just under here and just with a pry bar, and it'll just pull up like that pretty easily. All right, so what we'll do is we'll pull the cap up, and it's good there's a coating of oil on it. So what we'll just do is we'll rub this off and take a really good look at it. So here's the cap from number 1, and as you can see, fair bit of wear there. So what we can do is look at some of the others and see if that wear is consistent across the caps. The main thing is the journals here on the actual crank look pretty good. So let's just leave that one there for now, and we'll move on to number maybe number 4. So you can see the wear on this one's in a different, slightly over, and almost looks like something's been dragged through. These are sort of oil passages, something's being dragged through there, and there's almost like a bit of corrosion or something there in it as well. So there's a fair bit of wear there, but I might just button these up and not care. But see what we do. Might just take number 3 off as well while we're here. Just see what that's like as well. That's got a fair bit of wear on it as well, all the way all the way through. So what I'm going to do now, however, so that's the sort of the visual inspection. What I'm going to do now is the plastic gauge, flexi gauge check, where what we'll do is torque down this main cap with a bit of this on the main journal, and torque it down and see what it comes out to. Here it'll squash up against between the journal and the bearing, and whatever it sort of corresponds along here, that's where we can best guesstimate of what the actual bearing clearance is there at the moment. So let's do that now. All right, so this little green piece right here is it, and all we're going to do is place that. It's going to be really hard to see. We've just placed it right there. See if we can zoom in a bit there. It is going to be super hard to see, but there is a piece right there. What we're going to do now is just dry, make sure there's absolutely no oil whatsoever on any of the surfaces. But we're going to put this main cap back on. And then we're going to torque that down. Now that the bolts have been torqued, we need to undo them and take a look at our reading. There we go. And here we are. All right. All right, so it's really hard to see, but there you go. You can see the green there. Now, what that means is we get the plastic gauge, and what we want to do is put it up against where it sits. And I would say that to me looks like it's probably a little bit bigger than 3 thou. And if we look on this one, close to 3 thou, but it's probably even a little bit bigger than 3 thou. All right, so that's it. That's a really easy DIY way to check your bearing clearance. Now I said 3 thou before, that's inches of course, and that equates to about 0.076 millimeters. Got millimeters and inches on here and that. Now I've looked up some clearance specs according to a workshop manual, and it says 0.02 to 0.04 millimeters is what's desired in terms of bearing clearance. 0.06 is the maximum range they would allow sort of an engine to go at the workshop with. From what I can see here, we've got a lot of wear on the bearings, and what I can tell by the plastic gauge, it looks like we're about 0.08 of a millimeter. So we're well and truly over what they, the max allowable sort of limits are with this. So I've got 2 choices really, and those choices are replace all the, go through it and replace all the bearings, which I mean, looking at the state of them, it might be some good cheap insurance to do anyway. Or the second thing is just to forget about it, close my eyes and pretend I didn't see it, and just run a thicker weight oil, because really high bearing clearances at high oil temp will lead to really low oil pressure. Low oil pressure will lead to a whole raft of other issues too, especially when you've got other things in the engine that are controlled by oil pressure and that. So yeah, that's an easy way. Whatever you do and you choose to do with the info is up to you. Yeah, I'll probably re-bearing this engine. I think it's the best thing to do, but that is a really basic, easy way to check your main rod bearing clearances. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.